You're watching the CG Live podcast. Now, the content for these podcasts are a little bit different than our normal pods as we bring on members and do long-form interviews. These were actually recorded live at our events with members that were going on stage to present, so the content is killer. Enjoy the show. All right, welcome back into the live CG podcast. We are live here in Clearwater Beach, Florida, CG, CEO, and Premier Events. Our quarterly events, it is June, I think. I think that's right. I can tell because I can hear all the people out at the beach right now having a good time on summer while we're in here shooting a live podcast, which there's no place I'd rather be, Amen. Right? Who has it better than we do? Nobody. All right. So I'm welcoming in our third guest of the day, Mr. Marck de Lautour. Some of you may have already seen Mark on the regular CG podcast, which you can go back and watch that great episode. That was one of my favorites that we did. You can get that at thecgpodcast.com. All of our previous episodes, those drop every Tuesday. We've got a new one coming out tomorrow. I think Santini, it drops tomorrow. But today we are doing our live CG podcast at the event, and here's why. We bring in people that are members and facilitators of our group that have presented on stage, and just like Micah, who presented on the CEO journey, CEO level members presenting to the premier level of their journey in real estate, and Mark just came off the stage, just like Mike, I had to go grab him like the president of the United States and walk him upstairs so we can get him on the live pod. So welcome in, Mark.
Thanks, mate.
Yes, so remind everybody where, obviously your name, and then where you're from and what you do.
Sure, Marck de Lautour. I New Zealand born and raised, but I have been living in Kansas City for about the last 30 years, and we have a real estate investment and development company there in Kansas City.
And your focus is, I know you've done a lot of new construction, but in the past you've done turnkeys, you've done a lot of things. Yeah,
I think you that was a little bit of the presentation today. You kind of have to pivot as a small business owner and take what the market gives you.
Love that.
But currently we are fix and flipping a couple of hundred homes a year. We're real estate developing duplexes and fourplexes, and then we manage around 650 doors on the property management side, but just met a new mate in CG CEO, and I'm going to be fast scaling towards his 1,500 door count that I'm going to be chasing pretty quick.
I'll make sure that you get his number before you leave here. A good friend of mine actually as a new CEO member. So want to give everyone kind of a lay of the land here. CG CEO meets at the exact same time as Premier. As I said before, they're $10 million businesses and above, or $15 million of net worth and above. Those are the current numbers. Those may fluctuate, may go higher in the future. But they're meeting right over here on floor 3 here in Clearwater, while the Premier group, over 200 strong, are downstairs. So one of the things that we've started to implement, a lot of members have asked specifically for, hey, when someone was in year 5 and year 7 and year 10, if in order to get to $10 million and above, where were they at 5 years ago, 6 years ago? And so Mark and Micah both presented on that CEO journey here today. So when you were putting that together, were you waxing poetic on what the past was and go through the history book of your business?
Oh, I don't know about poetic, but I mean, the scar tissue still hurts, right? It's like you just go through where you got your teeth kicked in. I think one of the things that Brian was asking of us was just to be real and show your numbers and understand, where you currently sit and where you were, because I think the path from that room in Premier to CEO is a short one, right? I mean, a lot of guys can jump and deliver and get to that level. So no, it was interesting to go back and kind of reflect on, gosh, how many hurdles we have overcome. I think that's the constant in small business, specifically, in the small business of real estate is, I don't know if there's an industry that's more influenced by outside forces, perhaps like interest rates and, mortgage availability and homeowner sentiment. And, we get thrown a lot of curveballs.
A lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. And so how we dealt with the 2002, COVID was a crisis, and that we dealt with that. Tenants were like, we're not going to pay rent. So we had to deal with that. But then in 2022, even bigger, was when interest rates went from 4% to 8%. Man, it just was painful because we had a whole investor base of our turnkey buyers that just said, yeah, we're not going to buy those anymore. And you're like, ooh, I have 147 assets on the books and 16 million in debt. what does that look like to get yourself out of that situation and right-sided where you can kind of live to find another day. So that was kind of part of the story.
So if you are watching live right now, you are watching the live CG podcast. I have beside me Mr. Marck de Lautour, who is a facilitator on our leadership team here at the Collective Genius. His business is a CEO level business, and he helps facilitate that room. We asked him to present, and what he's just talking about is that journey presentation that he just did downstairs for our premier group here on the first day of our event. You mentioned COVID. You mentioned some of the challenges. Was there one, I didn't get to see the presentation because I was up here. Was there one kicking of the teeth that hurt more and you get a bigger lesson from that you would like to share here?
I think the biggest lesson is just that, you have to overpay, in my opinion. You have to overpay for the best talent possible. And I say overpay because I think so many times as small business owners, we just say, okay, I want an office manager. Okay, so I want to pay them $60,000 in Kansas City, decent wage, and go try and find someone. So we kind of implemented a new policy where we knew that leveling up talent to get the best person possible, where we set, okay, if we're looking for someone for 60, let's set the parameters of compensation from 50,000 all the way up to 90,000 for an office manager. And what happened was you would find people that suddenly were like way overqualified for the position, but were perhaps really intrigued with our culture or the hours or the industry or wanted to flip houses or get into real estate. And you found people, and oftentimes we would end up paying more than 60,000. We'd pay the 70 or 80, but you just attract the best talent possible. Every time that you put a job posting out there, it's a banner, hey, let's try and attract talent. And I think Chris and I have both embraced the fact that A+ talent solves problems and removes us from the decision-making process. So if we can hire and retain the best possible talent, we are freeing ourselves up, which there is an infinite return on our time. And so if we can free ourselves up to go do bigger, better things, then yeah, the ROI is infinite. So the extra $20,000 you may be paying them not only gets you a better person, but it frees you up to go do different things.
So I have to follow up on that because I know other entrepreneurs are probably listening to this. Other real estate investors are probably saying, hey, I just pay them more. How do you guarantee that you get a better candidate? Because you don't necessarily get a better candidate by just paying more.
No, gosh, there's intricacies, and it's a good question. Culture over everything. I mean, I preached on stage today that, culture over anything. You can't just pay the most. You've got to have the best place to work. We talked about implementing the Dream Manager program and how influential that's been in our organization. The Dream Manager program is the basic comprehension that although it is the employee's responsibility to come in and drive value to the organization, it's also the organization's responsibility to drive as much value to that employee as possible, like invest in their lives and who they are as people. And we have done that at our leadership level. We've also introduced Book Club, where we try and help people learn and grow professionally and personally. We've implemented the morning daily huddle. 8:37 every morning is the best time of the day for me. I really enjoy that 15 minutes. From 8:37 to 8:52, where we get to huddle up and meet the whole team face to face every single morning and spread good news and hear what's going on and keep a pulse on the industry, so that kind of make even just like the making fun of each other and kind of little gags in the side chats, like just being human, right. Being real. You spend so much time with these people that you have to have a place that they want to come work every day. So yes, you can't just pay more, but building a culture of accountability and performance starts with attracting top talent. So that's a big part of it.
I think what we see in the CEO room, the room that you help facilitate, there's 2 rooms, you facilitate one of them. I think a common thread there, and I just want to make sure we don't gloss over this. Yes, Mark said that your team, they should be able to accomplish their goals as well as the business goals in order for all of it to work together. Everyone's rowing in a common direction. That's so it's overlooked for so many entrepreneurs, because I get that question all the time. How do I grow and scale? Well, you have to find people that you can delegate things to, and then you have to make sure that they accomplish the dreams or know what their dreams are. And if they don't know, help them achieve those things by understanding what their goals are. They don't have goals. You got to help them obtain those by starting with what is your goal?
Yeah.
Right.
No, there's no doubt. I think, we invest in ourselves so heavily through masterminds and personal development and coaches and strategy sessions and reading books. But we've got to realize that there are some in our organization that don't. And so helping them get there, helping them understand profit first in their own life, helping them understand the go-getter principles and, the 5 dysfunctions of a team, just simple things that can help them become a better teammate. Helping them overcome, maybe a little bit of friction they're having with another coworker, helping them understand, mortgages and finance and debt and those kind of things. Like just understanding and investing in the people is pretty important.
So if I'm listening to this right now as a real estate investor, entrepreneur, and I maybe only have a couple of employees, where do I go 0 to 1? Because there's a lot of moving parts there of what you just described with a big team. We use this terminology a lot in CG of, where do I start? Where do I go 0 to 1?
I think 0 to 1 would just be have meetings off-site. If you have meetings off-site, kind of de-escalate and just, I'll say go have a beer with a mate, right? So, just go have a coffee with someone, have a beer with someone, just take them out, ask them how they're doing, just be genuine. I think, there's a saying that goes, it's confidence that builds empires, but it's humility that sustains them. I think as you rise, and a business will rise and fall to the level of the leadership, becoming a better leader is humbling yourself to care enough about what your employees want to get out of life. So as you build this empire with vim and vigor and passion and force, you've got to realize that on the flip side, you are not going to sustain that without humbling yourself to actually, so it's not like 0 to 1 is like, hey, slow down, like take a breath and just realize these are people. These are people's lives that you're dealing with here. Like care about people, like just slow down and listen to them, like be intentional about like not just listening to someone's conversation to inject your next comment or fix them or solve them. Just be present and hear them.
Love that. So a lot like parenting, right? Not
my gosh, the similarities are endless.
So true.
Yes.
Like it's not, it can't always be dad mode, right? It can't always be mom mode. It can't always be business mode. This is a great segue into, I would love for you to give us more information about that CEO room. It's hard. The word visionary and integrator in this space, ever since Traction came into this space, the book Traction and EOS, that has just been, it's like the buzzword back in the day was, I got to have an integrator or I have to have a COO. That's transitioned now to AI and technology. There's always some buzzwords in this space. But I think what we've established with that CEO room is a true visionary room. It is for the CEO level member, for the CEO level real estate member, entrepreneur that is looking to continue to what's next. They're still pushing that rock up the hill. They're not trying to sip Mai Tais at the beach. These are people that have a big business, but know they don't have things figured out and they want to be in there with other visionaries. You've been in this room since day one. We've done this now over a year, continue to grow it. Give the listeners an insight on what happens in that room.
Yeah, so the room is filled with guys that have a passion for growth and scale, and they want to be the best version of themselves. I think your focus kind of sits around 4 key elements of, and primarily it's people. Like it's kind of a who, not how room, right? So not how can I do this or what should I do? There's typically clear direction from that room of what they should be doing. But a lot of it is centered around the who. Who do I need to surround myself with to get to the next level? Who can I hire, consult with, or contract with to help us get to the next level? So there's a lot of who discussions. But yeah, people, strategy, execution, and cash. Banking and finance, introductions to better ways to fund the operation. Execution is typically done in the premier room, although there are some execution strategic tips as well. But a lot of people discussion, because at that level, the biggest, you can either be, as a CEO, you can either be a lever or a lid to the organization. And I think the challenge is to try and lever all of the talent in your organization to level up. And that's the key is if you can continue to invest in your people, make them become the best version of themselves, remove any obstacles or roadblocks that's inhibiting their progress. from there, you can turn around and gain momentum, profitability, and efficiencies in the business. So a lot of people discussions, which are efficiency discussions. But yeah, it's a room full of guys that are, just trying to do the best to humble themselves and figure out, where can I remove myself from the business? Where am I being a blockade to the success of the business?
Someone's been reading their John Maxwell. I heard that lever and lid in there. That's really good stuff. John Maxwell, great books on leadership. And I think when I think of that room, I think of those that are they're already good leaders and they're trying to become great, or whatever is above great when it comes to leadership. I do want to have one follow-up to that, though. The people in that room are typically, they're at a level where the people that they're looking to hire are executives. Is that right?
Yeah, fair.
So the roles that people are really looking for, these are maybe not COOs because they've already hired that position, but chief revenue officers and is that
Chief marketing officer, CFO. Yes.
So they've leveled into a different phase of business. And this is super important because I know that no matter where you are in your business right now, you want to be in the room where people are meeting you at a point where truly you're trying to learn from others, but you also need it to be at a certain level. If you're at a $10 million or $15 million, you need to be around other people that are also hiring executives, not just one, but multiple at the same time. And if I had to summarize that room, it's that true visionary that's now looking at C-suite as their main hiring. They're not trying to hire acquisitions. They're not trying to hire lead managers.
Less operation. In fact, I just left the room, Leon, and one of our members was talking about their board of directors. So he's gone to the next level where it's not just leadership team. He's actually surrounded himself, because he has never built a $1 billion company before. So he wanted to surround himself with, billion people that have built a $1 billion company. And so he arranged a board of directors with extremely high-powered people, like the former CEO of Panera is now one of his.
Wow.
Yeah, Panera Bread Company is now on his board of directors. So, people like that need to be influenced by higher level thinkers, because he said, if I'm in Premier, I'm talking strategy and operations and execution. When I come to the CEO room, we're talking at a certain level. To even, go to that next level, he's, now hiring a board of directors. I think it's just where you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most.
Sure.
And I think that's the best thing about the room, is that you're just leveled up into talking at pretty high level discussions of people trying to solve, fairly common problems, challenging problems, but problems that you think, sometimes as an entrepreneur, you feel like a man on an island and you have no one to turn to. I think the best thing about CG is that you get to come into a space, drop your ego, and learn from those that are already, doing the things that you're doing and that are facing the similar kind of challenges. And so that's what frees me up to be able to grow and scale. Is typically, if I'm having issues, I reach out to the community, which is what it is. And, issues get solved by people that have been there before.
The operator diversity is where I want to kind of end this conversation about CGCEO. I have a $10 million business and I'm, really trying to grow apartment complexes, or I'm trying to grow self-storage or commercial assets. Can you speak to the current, operator diversity, what they're investing in? Because I know there's someone listening to this right now that says, hey, that might be the right room for me, but I want to make sure that I'm in a diverse room and not just one type of real estate investing.
Yeah, I'm trying to walk around the room. So, property management, funding and capital markets, self-storage, apartment complexes, syndications, obviously fix and flip, single family, build to rent, it's title. There's so many capacities because this, what you're talking about, people is relatively industry agnostic. Use similar kind of problems and concerns. There's never a question that doesn't have someone that can add value to the answer. There's a book I read one time called Borrowed Brilliance, and the idea is there's no original thought. It's just kind of someone taking this thought and that thought and putting them together and kind of, or reusing someone that's already thought of it. So you need to be in a room of people that can think strategically, that can introduce you to people that can solve your problems, and that will encourage you to go kick ass when you walk out of the room. That's what we get here.
I want to gloss that, the remix thoughts. You can take these thoughts and ideas that have already been created, put them together, you got a little remix thought that works for you.
Yeah.
All right, so last thing about today specifically in that room, is there any takeaways today that you're like, your mind was blown on what you've seen from a presentation? I realize it's early on, it's day one.
Yeah.
Anything that you've taken away from any presentation so far in that room?
Well, first of all, special day for me. I can't get off without acknowledging that my son is here.
Oh, yes.
And
Very
so,
cool.
Really excited for Jackson to come in because, again, I talked today in my presentation about a hero's journey. And I know that I'm a hero of his. I know that we talked about how you can be a hero to many people. I challenged the room that, everyone in this room is a hero to the community, to your employees, to your family members. Like, you're a hero and they're looking for you for leadership. And so I know I am a hero, and I don't say that out of, arrogance. I say that out of appreciation. Yeah. For the honor. It's a privilege for us to be in these positions. But have him in the room and surround him with some of these people that he's having conversations with has been a blessing as a 19-year-old, college kid. But the biggest takeaway, I think, honestly, was probably less impactful for some. But I took Ken Majumdar is a friend of mine and someone who talked about just gaining clarity with, where he was at with the humble. In fact, I even stole a line already and stuck it in my presentation. He was the one that said, it takes confidence to build empires, but humility to sustain them.
That's a good one.
See,
Yeah.
if I didn't tell you that, you would have been
Remix.
like, man, remix, that's pretty good.
Yes.
But no, when he came out, he said, it takes confidence to build empires and it takes humility to sustain empires. I was like, wow, because it's Jason Medley once said that it's the habits that get you to this level. It's those same habits that you have to break to become the better version of yourself. And as I presented on, and part of my presentation was just saying, look, I think the biggest challenge for me was reflecting on the man I was versus the man I needed to become. And I didn't want to be a lid to the organization. And I'm not there. I mean, I'm still a daily siege that I go to try and become a better version of myself to elevate those, because it's a learning process. I'm not naturally gifted necessarily in that area. So I think you can learn to be a better leader. You can read and educate yourself and surround yourself with people that will give you good examples. But Ken's presentation today that specifically talked about the humility in the journey and being able to level up others by, listening better, by, acting more in humility and respecting where others have come from and seeing them where they are currently was something that impacted me.
Well, I know you make a big impact in that room, so I can't keep you any longer because you need to get back into that room. I appreciate your time here with us, the time that you spend with our members at the CEO level, and the value that you delivered at the CG Premier level. There's so many levels now. I'm getting these mixed up, but CEO upstairs, and so you've given value in both rooms. So I'm gonna let you get back to it. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to wrap this particular live podcast with a different wrap here. And here's specifically, I want to talk about that CG CEO room. I know some of you out there want to be in the highest level room that you possibly could be, and maybe you're at that level, that the revenue that we talked about before of 10 million above, or you're trying to get to that level, and you that is your goal. You want to get to that number for your business, and you're not quite there, or you're just over that. I encourage you to go check out explorecg.com. I encourage you to do that, and here's why. Even if you're not there at that level, there are a bunch of people downstairs right now, over 200 of them, that are all in that 5 to 10 range and are all trying to get into that CEO room because of that revenue hit. Doesn't mean that they won't stay in the premier room with their CEO and those type of things. But I tell you this, that if you're trying to get into 10 million and above, there's no better room to be into than our premier level. And if you're above 10 million, it is the group that you should be in. So go check out explorecg.com. There's an application there. Please fill that out. And if we're a good fit for each other, would love to have that conversation about what those next steps are. So that's it for this live CG podcast. We got a couple more today. We will see you then.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit explorecg.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, and the opinions expressed by the hosts and participants are their own. The Collective Genius is not liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, or other damages resulting from reliance on the information shared in this podcast.